U.S. jets to the Balkans. The U.S. revs up the air war against Yugoslavia. What life is like in America for the last refugees out of that region. Cleaning up the tornado damage in the Midwest. And the revolution that will get you out of the grocery store.
This is the CBS Evening News with John Roberts.
Good evening. Day 18 of the crisis over Kosovo has NATO asking for reinforcements with no sign that it is even close to achieving its goals in Yugoslavia. The U.S. has ordered up 82 more warplanes to join the conflict, mostly radar jamming and support aircraft. Slobodan Milosevic upped his defiant rhetoric on this Orthodox Easter, calling on Serbs to work harder to resist NATO. Bad weather turned back 3 out of 4 bombing missions today, but U.S. satellites do appear to have found thousands of refugees hiding out in Kosovo. The United Nations says more than 500,000 refugees have been driven from Kosovo, but just as many Kosovar Albanians are still unaccounted for. Today, U.S. spy satellites may have found some of them riding it out, trying to survive inside Kosovo. Mark Phillips has the latest.
About 1,500 Kosovo refugees crossed over into Albania this morning, the first to do so since Yugoslavia closed the border 4 days ago. They were all from the same village and said they had tried to stay, but that they were forced from their homes by Serb police yesterday, indicating that ethnic cleansing is still underway. Several thousand more from adjacent villages were reported to be crossing tonight. Whether the border is actually open or closed seems almost irrelevant. Except for those allowed through, the bulk of those still stuck in Kosovo have not been allowed anywhere near the frontier. However desperate the plight of the refugees here in Albania, there is growing concern about the ones who have not managed to get out. In fact, the UN now thinks there are more displaced people within Kosovo than have left.
It seems that the people cannot reach the border.
They're not letting them approach the border.
Exactly. That's what it seems. So we're very worried, and let's see what comes in the next couple of days, if there is a breakthrough.
U.S. surveillance photos made public today show that many have simply taken to the woods.
It looks like the city has been emptied, or the village, and all those displaced persons are living in the hills. What it's looking like.
NATO estimates there are somewhere from 5 to 750,000 Kosovars living rough in their own country. Yet occasionally in this life of collective despair, there is an individual moment of joy, or at least relief. One family which had become separated in the Exodus and had been searching for each other from camp to camp in Albania, today finally found each other. Now, whatever they have to face, they can at least face together. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Tirana.
The Pentagon today raised the possibility of calling up the reserves to help fly support missions for the fighters and bombers. And NATO talked about the possible use of ground troops, saying that public support for a ground assault is growing. President Clinton is still against that notion, but as Eric Engberg reports, he is coming under increasing pressure from Congress to go to the ground.
While the president's national security team met again at the White House, Mr. Clinton took a break from talk of war. But much of his thinking this weekend is on the politically challenging task of forging a congressional consensus in favor of his war plan. One flashpoint issue, the use of ground troops, which the White House again today rejected. But Republican Congresswoman Heather Wilson in the weekly Republican radio talk declared the current bombing strategy has failed.
Our airmen and soldiers and sailors have done their jobs well. But air power cannot stop a door-to-door campaign of repression.
9 members of the bipartisan congressional group just back from touring NATO bases in Europe wrote Mr. Clinton urging that planning begin on further military steps, including the use of ground forces, and that the president prepare the public for the likelihood of casualties.
The American people right now understand better than the administration that we must use ground troops if necessary in order to win.
And Democrats appear ready to support escalation if needed.
There just is a compelling voice that says that we have to stop this.
Thanks to the barbarities of Slobodan Milosevic, when the House and the Senate report back to work on Monday, President Clinton will find something he hasn't seen in a good long time. A Congress that's ready to be led. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
Independent analysts have begun to put a price tag on the Kosovo crisis. According to various estimates, the cost of the air war alone ranged from $1 to $3 billion per month. If ground troops are sent in, that cost would double, but the cost of housing and feeding the Kosovo refugees would be about equal to the costs of war, an estimated $12 billion a year. And no one knows when those refugees will go back to Kosovo, if they ever do. In the wake of the last Balkans conflict, the Bosnian War, tens of thousands of people never went home. Where did they end up? Jeffrey Kaufman caught up with one refugee family still living a hard life in America.
Ida Burchick didn't pack her dishes when the family left her last home, believing she'd be back in 3 or 4 days. That was 7 years ago, in Bosnia, when Serbian troops arrived.
Is this what we call ethnic cleansing?
Something like that.
Is that what happened to you?
Yes.
Today, they are reconstructing their lives in Nashville.
This is Austrian.
Because Ida is Bosnian Muslim and Vlatko is Croatian Catholic, the family isn't welcome anywhere in the ethnically segregated Balkans. Since 1992, they have been on the run as refugees. First, they sought refuge in Croatia. Bombing there sent them to Hungary. 2 months later, Austria. In 1997, they tried to resettle on the Croatian coast, but Ida couldn't get citizenship. That's when they moved to America. In recent years, more than 80,000 Bosnians have come to this country as refugees. And while the U.S. government hasn't made any official decision yet, refugee groups are preparing for what they think will be the next big wave, Kosovars.
These are Bosnians that are coming out of Germany.
As director of the Nashville branch of World Relief, a refugee settlement group, Lee Evie likes to say he lives in the delayed headlines of the world.
It's going to be a year or two down the road before we see any Kosovar ethnic Albanians, but we are prepared.
Should that happen, they will probably begin their new lives doing jobs that most Americans won't do. Vlatko was a construction foreman in Bosnia. Now he works nights and weekends as a janitor at Nashville Airport.
We came because the children, they can build them future, their future here.
As the Burchicks see it, rebuilding is the only thing they can do. Otherwise, they'd have given up long before they got to America. Jeffrey Kaufman, CBS News, Nashville.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, a strange twist to that strange New Mexico sex ring case. Do states have money that these kids desperately need? We'll tell you why some say yes. And you can go home again, leaving the Navy to take command of a school bus.
I want this one.
Quaker toasted oatmeal, deliciously crisp oatmeal flakes, and crunchy honey sweetened clusters. You haven't wanted a cereal this badly since you were a kid. In original Honey Nut and Squares.
Sundown Herbals presents its remarkable Twist and Learn label. This unique label gives you so much information, it can help take the mystery out of taking herbs. Sundown's new Twist and Learn label. Where to turn for help.
What should you do if you're having a heart attack? First, call an ambulance, then take Bear aspirin. And now Bear may help stop you from dying when taken during a heart attack. Talk to your doctor now. Bear, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
If it's real chicken your dog wants, it's Prime you want. Because high-quality chicken is the primary ingredient in Pedigree Prime. Pedigree Prime. Dry dog food has finally reached its prime.
A 27-year-old New Mexico man has been charged with murder in a case stemming from an alleged sex torture ring. Investigators are still searching the area surrounding a ranch where the alleged sexual torture was carried out. Last night, Dennis Yancey was arrested for murdering a woman last seen a year ago, apparently after she escaped from the ranch in chains. Her body has not been found. A federal judge's decision ordering the government to pay almost $1 billion to one failed savings and loan could force payments in hundreds of similar cases. Glendale Federal Bank sued after it nearly went bankrupt when the government tightened accounting rules. President Clinton claimed today the number of people on welfare is at its lowest level in 30 years, dropping from 14 million in 1994 to 7.6 million last December. Kristen Jeanette Myers tells us that's left states fighting over what to do with a huge surplus of welfare funds.
A $700 million windfall to spend and no place to spend it? That's the unlikely position of New York State, according to top budget officials.
All states have windfalls. Then the question is, so what did the states do with windfalls? Some spent them, some obligated them, and some left them sit in D.C.
Do you like your job?
I love my job.
Dramatic nationwide movement from welfare to work left many states with millions to spare. Money left over from federal grants intended to cover state welfare costs. New York has not spent all of its money, and that angers many would-be beneficiaries.
We want to expand to a 24-hour facility. We need money to have the place renovated and to bring in the children. We have a waiting list already of children that are going to use the facility.
That list includes people like Bernadette Alston, whose child would benefit from an expanded center.
I have nobody to watch the baby, so I can't go back to work.
Because many states have been slow to share the wealth, some in Congress even tried to get it back, proposing to use it for foreign disaster aid, among other things.
There was some talk about us just recapturing the welfare money because caseloads were down so dramatically.
That talk was quickly silenced by interest groups and furious governors who decided to quickly apply that money to daycare and other welfare-to-work programs. New York authorities insist they didn't act sooner because they saw no need.
What would be the use of putting out money when, in fact, you didn't have people to put in the slots?
But providers say they've had waiting lists all along.
They come in with lists of centers that they have already gone and said, you know, they send me to all these centers, sometimes 5 or 6 centers, and there is no space for them.
New York Governor George Pataki stands by his decision not to spend all the windfall right away, instead saving it in a rainy day fund in case welfare rolls increase again. However, in this year's budget, he is spending almost all the money. Kristen Jeanette Myers, CBS News, New York.
Tornado victims have begun rebuilding their homes and lives near Cincinnati. Ohio officials now estimate nearly 1,000 homes are damaged or destroyed in city suburbs. Deadly storms in half a dozen Midwestern states yesterday killed at least 6 people. There's more to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, the Y2K nightmare for airlines, and why tonight is New Year's Eve. The shock of war, from the good life in the Kosovo capital to the refugee life in Macedonia.
Maybe it's because we've been in business for over 160 years. Or because people have a special fondness for the color green. Or maybe it's just that no matter how old they get, they never seem to stop working. Whatever the reason, every day, people count on genuine John Deere equipment. Like the all-new LX lawn tractor, built to last and last. So if you own one John Deere, thank you. If you own 127, thanks again.
I'm gonna raise you. Fold. Too rich for me. Not fold.
Call. A couple of things to remember. 1, a full house always means 3 of a kind. And 2, the new Chevy Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any pickup. Chevy Silverado. It's the truck.
Shut up. Introducing new Aleve gel caps. They start fast and work all day long with just 2 pills. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that. If your pain reliever starts fast but won't last, get one that does it all. New Aleve gel caps. Works for me.
Some things can't be taught in a classroom or found in a textbook. But with Fixodent's long-lasting hold, you'll be ready no matter where the lesson takes you. For long-lasting hold, Fixodent and forget it.
There it is, a win for the ages. Marco Mira has won the Masters.
A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
The Federal Aviation Administration is conducting a crucial computer test tonight to see if potential year 2000 bugs have been corrected. The test at Denver International Airport will simulate next New Year's Eve, when some travelers fear the computer bug may endanger planes in the air. But the FAA claims all the problems have been fixed and expects tonight's test to be routine. More and more people are avoiding the routine of grocery shopping by going online instead of standing in line. Randall Pinkston shows us how the home computer is battling supermarkets in this weekend's Eye on the Web.
Grocery shopping. It is a necessity of life most of us dread.
Hi, Mr. Feldman. I'm Bob from Depot. I have your order. Good.
But not the Feldmans. Their groceries are delivered to their door.
They come to the garage door and hand me the groceries, and I unpack one, so it's very convenient and saves me a lot of time.
And they rarely set foot in a store. No aisles, no long lines. This is not your mother's grocery store. Here, shopping is a keystroke away on the home computer.
I believe we're spending less money. You could choose to buy the cheapest can of corn or the cheapest soda if you're not brand sensitive.
The largest growth area in usage right now has been people shopping at work. So they're using their lunch hour to actually shop and do a chore that they would normally have to do, on their free time.
Buying groceries online represents a very small percentage of supermarket shopping, but traditional grocers are already concerned about their cyberspace competition.
Everyone who is selling what I'm selling is a competitor.
Cyber grocers predict traditional supermarkets may be forced to log on.
Because we're going to cannibalize their sales otherwise.
By 2007, cyber grocers expect to capture $60 billion of the $400 billion now spent each year on groceries.
One of the things that drives people to the supermarket, again, is the variety and also the impulse sales. And that contributes dramatically to today's bottom line.
If my wife's there 3 or 4 times a week, she's doing impulse buying, she's buying different things and trying different things, and we're not doing that with this service.
But for all of the convenience, online shopping can't offer the touch and smell of fruits and vegetables. That's why traditional grocers believe most families will continue to do their shopping just like Mom did. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, New York.
That meeting is going to start whether I get rid of this headache or not. So I took something stronger, something faster. I took Advil liquid gels. They're stronger and faster on tough pain than extra-strength Tylenol. It makes sense that they are. Liquid gels are the only pain reliever with liquid inside. Nobody else has that. Nobody. So when you want something that's faster on tough headaches than Tylenol, take Advil liquid gels. Pain relief that's stronger and faster.
Natural, real. I want to look the way I feel. I'm a Grecian man. Want it quick, hassle-free. A look that really looks like me. Grecian man. A Grecian man, no time for gray. A new generation, a whole new day.
Out here, am I supposed to say, slow down, I'm constipated? I don't think so. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Before Hal came to LensCrafters, he never owned a pair of prescription sunglasses.
Figured I could buy with squinting.
I searched until I found a pair that really suited his face.
These are great.
And I know he loved our prices.
Ask for prescription sunglasses ready in about an hour at LensCrafters.
Gateway can build you a PC that lets you be who you want to be. Like a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor for as low as $28 a month. And you can trade it in toward the purchase of a new one in 2 years. Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
The latest on the crisis over Kosovo, plus the do's and don'ts of being a parent spectator when your kid is in a sport, playing to win. It's all about behavior.
Next week
on This Morning.
It's often said that we don't appreciate the special people and things in our lives until it's too late. Sometimes it takes a while for that lesson to sink in. Our Steve Hartman found a man who's building bridges to the past and the future. For tonight's Everybody Has a Story.
Park County, Indiana has made an art out of getting from here to there. They've got 32 covered bridges, more than any other place in America.
I came here and found it incredibly quiet, peaceful, and serene. Then,
How about here?
in an ironic twist of fate,
James Cottrell.
I picked the one guy in town whose life is anything but quiet, peaceful, and serene.
Hey! We don't like to sit in the seats.
Aaron, please sit down.
We have to stand up.
The victim of this mutiny is retired Navy officer James Cottrell.
Try it. We'll all like it.
You're in the military, you're barking out orders, people listening. And you lost that at some point.
Yeah, these kids, they don't pay any attention to anything.
Hey, you buzzards, all sit down and be quiet.
He quit the Navy 20 years ago at the pinnacle of his career. And this story is about the road that led him from there to here.
Morning, guys.
James grew up in a ready-made farm family. Just add pitchfork. But it wasn't for him. He left when he was 17, met his wife Judy, and together,
43 years.
they traveled the world.
Same old woman.
Then one day, that old man in the overalls made his feelings known. He wanted his boy home to help out on the farm, maybe get a school bus route, he said. Of course, most kids would have said no, but this one packed his duffel and at the age of 50, did what Dad said.
He was not only my father, he was my best friend.
8 years came and went.
Got about 11 o'clock, and he still hadn't showed up. My wife come flying up the lane and says, your dad had a heart attack. I think he's gone. So we went to town, and they was loading him out in the ambulance out of the doctor's office. And it hurt.
For a while after that,
A long while. I don't know why it hit me so bad other than the fact that we were together all the time, you know, doing things, and I missed that a lot.
He battled depression for months, but came out of it with a greater respect for things he didn't always appreciate when he was younger, like parents, like covered bridges.
You drive hundreds of miles to go look at something in some other county or some other state. You got the same thing at home and you don't even realize it.
And I suppose that applies not only to points of interest, but people, too. We leave home to meet new friends, and yet the best friends you'll ever know are the ones you've known all your life. A lot of folks figure that out at funerals. But James Cottrell is smarter than most. He figured it out 8 great years earlier.
Just remember, though, the telephone does a wonderful thing, or email, or however you can contact your parents. I think that's not a bad idea. Once in a while, just say, hi, Dad, I want to say hi.
And on that note especially, kids would be wise to listen to the bus driver.
Clark County, Idaho.
Until then, I'm Steve Hartman, CBS News in Park County, Indiana.
When we come back, finding happiness in a 12 by 12 tent.
When dentures dream, they see the perfect denture cleanser. One with the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and the freshening power of Listerine. Well, little friend, dream no more. It's really here. It's called Efferdent Plus, and it's the only denture cleanser that could make your dream come true. Efferdent Clean and Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
This is Unisom Sleep Gels. It helps you sleep. This is Tylenol PM. It helps you sleep too. They both have the exact same amount of the exact same sleep ingredient. But Tylenol PM has added medicine for headaches, backaches, even fever. Do you have a headache, backache, fever? Then why take medicine for it? Take Unisom. It's a safe, non-habit-forming way to fall fast asleep.
Nancy will have to see from near to far almost 1,000 times today. Her eyes will focus on 40 labels, 60 charts, and 100 smiles. And in all that time, she'll never once think about the science that allows her to focus instantly at all distances. Nancy just knows that her Verilux lenses help her see better. And for her, that's a very comforting thought. Verilux, the comfort of better vision. For more information, call toll-free 1-800-VERILUX.
We all have everyday needs. That's why One A Day has specialized blends of herbs, vitamins, and minerals for things like energy or less tension. Special formulas that are just what you need to feel your best.
Do you experience vaginal dryness and need moisture? Vagisil Intimate Moisturizer is like bringing back your own natural moisture with natural aloe and soothing chamomile. It's gentle enough to use every day. Vagisil Intimate Moisturizer.
You're looking at a shoplifter, but why is it so easy for this kid to steal all those cigarettes?
We were experiencing some pretty severe cigarette losses in that store.
But theft is only part of the story. Are the tobacco companies and the stores making it easy for them on purpose? Eye on America, Monday on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
As the air war over Yugoslavia intensifies, so are efforts to keep fresh thoughts of American POWs Andrew Ramirez, Stephen Gonzalez, and Christopher Stone. The family of Staff Sergeant Ramirez took part in a rally in Los Angeles today. They received a POW flag as hundreds of people signed posters with the message, "We will not forget." The Kosovo refugees won't soon forget their experience. The poor and formerly elite all find conditions more miserable than they had ever imagined. Jim Axelrod reports from Macedonia.
1,400 more refugees waved goodbye to Macedonia this afternoon. They were bused to the airport, loaded onto planes, and flown to Germany. It is a stream out, but a trickle in. 50 new refugees fresh from the border were dumped at this camp.
We sleep like this, you know? My brother, my father, I.
The newest neighbors for Arbana Rustemi and her family of 8. They left a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house in a Kosovo suburb for this 12 by 12-foot tent.
I never gonna live the same life as I have lived before.
In this camp, Brajda, there are 28,000 people. A Bangor, Maine, or Juneau, Alaska, stuffed inside a 2.5-mile perimeter. Most of the people here are from Pristina, Kosovo's capital city. They are, say relief workers, the Kosovars least prepared for life in the tents.
These are people that are considered the elite of Kosovo. We found dozens of doctors, professors. These are people that have traveled and lived abroad, so for them, living in a refugee camp is something that they never expected to happen to them.
The Rustemis fled with little but their pictures, the furniture and flower beds they may never see again. But no, it's not difficult to live in the tent, says Arbana's father, because at home, we were in danger. This afternoon, it started drizzling for the first time at the Brajda camp, a stark reminder how life has suddenly changed for these people. Grateful now just to have shelter from the rain. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Brajda.
For the latest on the crisis over Kosovo, be sure to watch CBS News and this CBS station. There will be crisis updates first thing tomorrow on Sunday morning and on Face the Nation.